Welcome back to my channel, Coin Collectors and Investors. Waving hand. Hi YouTube. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the United States of America, a small copper coin that could be worth big money bag. In this video, we'll explore the iconic Lincoln design, the rich history behind these copper pennies, and the hidden treasures many people overlook. We're counting down the top 6 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare Lincoln Wheat pennies ever discovered in U.S. coin history. You'll hear shocking stories from America's coin past, learn about rare copper varieties, discover unusual color shades and toning, and uncover valuable mint mark coins from the Philadelphia P and Denver D mints that collectors and investors are actively searching for today. Here's the shocking truth. Even dirty, worn, or seemingly ordinary wheat pennies could be worth thousands, or even millions, of dollars exploding ahead. So before you spend that old penny, stick around, because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. Backhand index pointing right. Let's begin with coin number 1. In the United States, few coins carry as much emotional weight as the Lincoln Wheat Penny. When the design was first introduced in 1909, it marked a dramatic shift in American coinage. For the first time, a real historical figure appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. That figure was none other than Abraham Lincoln, a president whose leadership during the Civil War permanently shaped the nation. His profile, dignified and thoughtful, faced right on the obverse of the penny. On the reverse stood 2 simple wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, giving the coin its enduring nickname, the Wheat Penny. Now imagine the year 1944. The world was at war. Factories roared day and night. Metal was not just material. It was strategy. Copper was desperately needed for ammunition and military equipment. In 1943, the United States Mint had made a dramatic change. Instead of copper, pennies were struck in zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. Those steel cents were bright, unusual, and instantly recognizable. But in 1944, the Mint returned to copper. Not freshly mined copper, but recycled shell casing from spent ammunition. The pennies of 1944 were literally made from the metal war, transformed from bullets into currency. That historical transformation alone makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny extraordinary. It is a coin born from global conflict, forged in the remnants of battle, circulated during one of the most intense years of World War II. Every 1944 copper penny carries that invisible history within it. When you hold one, you are holding metal that may once have been part of military equipment, melted down and reshaped into a symbol of everyday commerce. But here is where the story becomes electrifying. While the Mint intended to produce copper pennies again in 1944, a tiny number of leftover steel planchets from 1943 were accidentally fed into the presses. The result was one of the most famous and valuable error coins in American history, the 1944 steel Lincoln Wheat Penny. These coins look similar to the 1943 steel cents, but the date reads 1944. They were not supposed to exist. Yet a handful slipped into circulation. That mistake, that microscopic oversight in a massive wartime production system, created a legend. Because so few 1944 steel cents are known to exist, they have sold for astonishing prices at auction. Verified examples in high condition have brought hundreds of thousands of dollars. In certain dramatic cases, when condition, authentication, and demand align perfectly, prices have climbed even higher. The reason is simple but powerful. Rarity plus historical context plus demand equals explosive value. But let's slow down and ground this in reality. The vast majority of 1944 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are copper, not steel. Billions were struck across 3 mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. Most 1944 pennies you find in jars or collections are common copper issues. In circulated condition, they are worth modest premiums over face value. They are collectible, yes, but not life-changing by themselves. The true magic lies in the details. Collectors examine weight first. A standard 1944 copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams. A genuine 1944 steel cent weighs around 2.7 grams and is magnetic. That magnetic pull is often the first clue that a miracle may be in your hand. But caution is critical. Altered coins exist. Some individuals plate copper coins in steel to imitate rarity. Others alter dates. Authentication by professional grading services is absolutely essential before any dramatic conclusions are made. Now, let's talk about condition, because condition is the silent king of coin value. A dirty coin is not automatically a worthless coin. In fact, in the world of numismatics, original surfaces are sacred. The brown toning, the subtle oxidation, the gentle darkening that develops over decades, these are natural processes. When someone aggressively cleans a coin to make it shiny, they strip away microscopic layers of metal and destroy the original mint luster. That damage is permanent. To a serious collector, a clean coin often loses significant value compared to one that remains untouched, even if the untouched coin appears darker. Imagine two identical 1944 copper pennies. One has been polished to a mirror-like shine. The other is naturally toned, with warm chocolate brown color and full wheat stalk details. The second coin, though less flashy, may command a higher price because it retains its authenticity. Collectors chase originality, not artificial brilliance. Across 5,000 years of coin history, this principle repeats. Ancient Roman coins covered in desert patina are prized because that patina proves age and authenticity. Medieval silver coins darkened by centuries of storage are valued because they have not been tampered with. The same rule applies to your 1944 penny. Now, can a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny make you a billionaire overnight? Realistically, no ordinary copper example will do that. But could a rare, authenticated 1944 steel cent or a dramatic mint error bring life-changing money? In rare cases, yes, though even then, we are talking about hundreds of thousands, not billions. The language of overnight fortunes captures imagination, but the numismatic market operates on documented rarity and verified sales, not fantasy. Still, the thrill is real. Picture someone searching through a jar of old pennies inherited from a grandparent. Most are common dates. But then a magnet sticks to a 1944 penny. Heart racing. They realize something extraordinary may have appeared. That moment, that pulse of possibility, is why coin collecting endures generation after generation. And there are other valuable varieties connected to 1944. Double dies, repunch mint marks, off-center strikes. Each type of mint error has its own following. The 1944 D and 1944 S issues can also carry premiums in uncirculated condition, especially with strong luster and minimal contact marks. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher by professional services can bring impressive sums compared to worn examples. But knowledge is power. Before declaring treasure, weigh the coin, test magnetism, compare carefully with known examples. Never clean it. Seek authentication. A coin's journey from pocket change to auction headline depends entirely on verified evidence. What makes the 1944 wheat penny especially captivating is its connection to transformation. It was born from war metal turned into peace currency. It circulated during a pivotal year in world history. It carries the face of a president who preserved a nation during its greatest internal conflict. It bridges stories of survival, resilience, and reinvention. From the first ancient coin struck in Lydia to modern American cents, coins have been instruments of continuity. They pass silently from one generation to the next, carrying invisible stories in their scratches and toning. Most remain modest in value. A few become legendary. And the difference between the two lies in rarity, condition, and authentication. If you find a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, do not dismiss it. Examine it. Respect it. Understand its history. Whether as a common copper survivor or a rare steel miracle, it represents a tangible fragment of global history, a moment when the world was at war and metal meant everything. In the United States, few coins stir emotion quite like the Lincoln Wheat Penny. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, this small copper coin became a national icon. It was revolutionary for its time because it placed a real historical figure on a circulating coin, replacing the traditional symbolic imagery of Lady Liberty. Lincoln's calm and thoughtful profile gave the penny a sense of dignity and permanence, while the reverse design, two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, symbolize prosperity, growth, and the American spirit rooted in agriculture and hard work. Now move forward to 1952. America was stepping into a new era. World War II had ended less than a decade earlier. Industry was booming. Families were building futures. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was already a familiar companion in every pocket and purse across the nation. Billions of pennies have been struck over the years, and yet each carried the same quiet design. Lincoln on one side, wheat on the other, a design that would soon be replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. That makes the 1952 penny part of the final chapter of the original wheat era. At first glance, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny seems ordinary. It was struck in large numbers at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, at Denver with a D, and at San Francisco with an S. Most examples entered circulation immediately, buying newspapers, candy bars, bus rides, and simple everyday necessities. They lived hard lives in pockets, jars, and tills. They were dropped on sidewalks, run through laundromats, forgotten in dresser drawers. To most people, they were just cents, the smallest unit of American currency. But coins do not reveal their full story at first glance. A coin's true power lies in survival and condition. Billions may have been made, but far fewer survive decades later in pristine form. Time is relentless. Copper reacts with air. Surfaces darken. Details wear down. The high points of Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks on the reverse begin to smooth out. The once bright reddish luster fades into brown tones. A coin that has passed through countless hands carries the visible evidence of its journey. And yet, within the sea of ordinary copper coins, rare treasures can hide. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, while generally common in circulated grades, can command impressive value in exceptional uncirculated condition. Coins that retain their original red mint luster, the glowing copper sheen fresh from press, are far scarcer than worn brown examples. Collectors distinguish between red, red-brown, and brown surfaces, and the difference in value can be dramatic. A sharply struck 1952 penny graded at the highest mint state levels, with full detail and blazing red color, can sell for significant amounts compared to its worn counterpart. Then there are the errors, the silent accidents of the minting process that sometimes transform an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. During production, dies can crack, double, shift, or wear unevenly. Planchets, the blank disc before striking, can be flawed, clipped, or misfed. A double die variety may show clear doubling in the lettering or date. An off-center strike may create a dramatic crescent of blank metal along the edge. A die crack may slice across Lincoln's portrait, like a lightning bolt frozen in copper. These anomalies are not common, and when they appear sharply and attractively, they become highly collectible. But let's address the emotional heart of the matter. The idea that a 1952 penny could be worth millions and change someone's life overnight. The dream of hidden treasure is ancient. Across 5 millennia of coinage, stories of rare coins discovered in unlikely places have fueled imaginations. A farmer turning soil finds a jar of ancient silver. A family cleaning an attic discovers a forgotten collection. A child sorting through change spots something unusual. These moments are real, and they keep the world of numismatics alive with possibility. However, real million-dollar coins are exceptionally rare. For a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny to reach extraordinary value, it would need to possess something truly unique, a dramatic and verified mint error, an experimental composition, or an ultra-high-grade preservation level combined with documented rarity. Ordinary circulated 1952 pennies, even those that look old or dirty, generally trade for modest collector premiums rather than life-altering sums. The condition of the coin plays a decisive role. A dirty coin covered in natural toning is not automatically worthless. In fact, experienced collectors prefer coins that have not been cleaned. Cleaning removes a delicate outer layer of copper, erasing microscopic lines that prove authenticity and original mint surfaces. Once cleaned, a coin cannot be restored to its original state. That is why experts strongly advise never polish or scrub an old penny. Its darkened tone may actually protect and preserve its value. Across the entire history of coinage, originality is prized. Ancient Roman coins with desert patina are cherished because that patina proves centuries of undisturbed aging. Medieval coins blackened by time are valued for their untouched authenticity. The same principle applies to a 1952 wheat penny. Its story is written in its surface. Now imagine holding a 1952 penny that appears unusually sharp. Lincoln's hair strands are crisp. The wheat stalks show fine grain lines. The coin flashes with a hint of red brilliance when tilted under light. That is a survivor, a coin that escaped the grinding friction of commerce. Such coins, especially those graded at the highest mint state levels, can bring strong prices among collectors seeking the finest examples. And while most 1952 pennies are copper, the broader Lincoln series reminds us that dramatic mistakes have happened before. The famous 1943 copper cent and the 1944 steel cent prove that unexpected anomalies can slip through even the most controlled systems. These legendary errors are what fuel the belief that somewhere, someday, another extraordinary piece might surface. But belief must be paired with knowledge. If you suspect your 1952 penny is unusual, examine it carefully. Check for doubling in the date and lettering. Look for off-center strikes or clipped edges. Compare its weight to standard specifications. Preserve it exactly as found. If something truly stands out, seek professional authentication. Only verified rarity transforms curiosity into market value. Coins are not lottery tickets. They are artifacts. Their worth is shaped by history, scarcity, and condition, not by hope alone. A 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny will not make someone a billionaire overnight simply because it is old, yet it carries undeniable historical significance. It represents the closing years of the wheat design, the post-war American boom, and a nation in transition toward a new era of prosperity. From the earliest coins struck 2,600 years ago to the humble copper cent of 1952, coins connect us to human continuity. They pass from one generation to the next, silently recording time. Most remain modest in value. A few become legendary because of rare circumstances, and all of them, even the simplest penny, remind us that history can fit in the palm of your hand. So if you find a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny in a jar of old change, do not rush to spend it. Look closely, respect its surfaces, understand its era. Whether it is a common brown survivor or a brilliant red gem, it is a tangible piece of American history. In the United States, one of the most emotionally powerful coins ever produced is the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, this humble 1-cent coin broke tradition by placing a real historical figure on circulating American currency. Lincoln's steady profile represented unity, resilience, and leadership during the nation's most divided hour. On the reverse, two simple wheat stalks framed the words 1 cent, symbolizing growth, prosperity, and the agricultural roots of America. That wheat design would remain until 1958, creating one of the longest-running and most collected coin series in U.S. history. Now imagine the year 1942. The world was on the edge of enormous change. The United States had just entered World War II. Factories were shifting from civilian goods to military production. Metal was becoming critical for ammunition, ships, aircraft, and equipment. Copper, the very metal used in pennies, was suddenly a strategic material. In this intense environment, the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck, one of the final full copper issues before the famous steel cents of 1943 temporarily replaced them. That historical timing makes the 1942 penny deeply significant. It was born in a year of uncertainty and mobilization. It circulated in a nation transforming itself into an industrial powerhouse of war production. Every 1942 penny that passed through hands in that era may have bought ration goods, stamps for letters sent overseas, or everyday essentials during a time of global tension. The coin is not just copper. It is a fragment of wartime America. Billions of 1942 pennies were produced across 3 mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. Most entered circulation immediately and lived ordinary lives. They were carried in soldiers' pockets, spent in corner stores, dropped into collection plates, stored in piggy banks. They were tools of daily life, and because they were made in such large numbers, many people assume they cannot possibly hold significant value. But coin value is not determined by mintage alone. Across 5,000 years of numismatic history, the coins that rise above the ordinary are those that combine rarity, condition, and sometimes error. Even in a year of heavy production like 1942, extraordinary pieces can exist. Condition is the silent ruler of coin value. A worn brown penny that is circulated heavily may carry only modest collector value. But a 1942 penny preserved in near-perfect condition, with blazing red luster, sharp wheat stalk details, and untouched surfaces, becomes a different story entirely. Copper is reactive. Over decades, it darkens and tones from bright red to brown. The highest grade 1942 pennies are those that retain original mint red color. These coins are scarce because few were set aside before entering circulation. A mint state 1942 penny graded at the highest levels by professional services can bring impressive prices compared to common worn examples. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for coins that look as though they were struck yesterday. Then there are the errors, the unexpected moments when mint machinery created something rare. In 1942, a notable variety known among specialists is the 1942-1 overdate, particularly from the Denver Mint. In this case, part of a 1941 date was accidentally overpunched with 1942, creating a visible layering effect in the numbers. This kind of variety is subtle but dramatic to trained eyes. When authenticated and found in strong condition, such overdate coins can command significant premiums and attract serious collector interest. Imagine the excitement of spotting unusual doubling in the date of a 1942 penny. Under magnification, the faint shadow of another number peeks from beneath the final digit. That tiny irregularity transforms a coin from ordinary to sought after. It becomes a piece of minting history, a mechanical fingerprint from a moment of production nearly forgotten. But we must speak honestly about the dream of unimaginable millions. The idea that a single 1942 penny could instantly make someone a billionaire overnight captures imagination, yet the numismatic market is grounded in verified rarity and documented sales. Ordinary 1942 copper pennies, even in decent condition, do not sell for millions. Their value is tied to grade and demand, not myth. However, rare high-grade examples and confirmed overdate varieties can be worth thousands, and sometimes much more, especially when preserved beautifully and certified by reputable grading companies. The difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth thousands can lie in microscopic details, invisible to the naked eye. Now consider the topic of dirty coins. Many people see a dark, tarnished penny and think it is ruined. In reality, natural toning often protects a coin surface. Cleaning a coin, scrubbing it, polishing it, dipping it in chemicals, permanently damages its original skin. Collectors prefer originality. A naturally toned 1942 penny with intact surfaces can be far more desirable than one polished to unnatural shine. The dirt and oxidation are part of its journey, part of its authenticity. Throughout coin history, untouched surfaces are treasured. Ancient Roman coins with desert patina are prized for their untouched authenticity. Medieval silver coins darkened by centuries are respected for their originality. The same philosophy applies to the 1942 wheat penny. Its surface tells its story. Alter that surface, and you erase part of its historical voice. The emotional power of the 1942 penny lies not only in potential monetary value, but in context. It bridges pre-war America and the steel cent year of 1943. It represents the last full copper composition before wartime necessity changed the metal. It carries the portrait of Lincoln, a president who guided the nation through its own earlier war, now appearing on a coin struck during another global conflict. The symbolism is profound. Across 5 millennia, coins have connected generations. A child in 1942 may have held that penny, unaware that 80 years later someone would examine it under magnification, searching for rare details. That continuity is extraordinary. Coins pass quietly through hands, through decades, through eras. Most remain humble. A few become legends. If you find a 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny today, do not rush to judgment. Examine it carefully. Check for overdate signs. Study the mint mark. Look at the sharpness of Lincoln's hair and the wheat lines. Weigh it to ensure it matches standard copper specifications. Most importantly, never clean it. Preserve it exactly as found. If something appears unusual, seek expert authentication before making assumptions. The journey from pocket change to collector treasure depends entirely on verified evidence. A rare 1942 one overdate in high mint state condition is a different universe from a heavily worn example. Knowledge is what separates fantasy from fortune. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first circulating American coin to feature a real historical figure rather than an allegorical image. That alone made it revolutionary. Lincoln's calm profile represented strength, unity, and leadership during one of America's most difficult chapters. On the reverse, two simple wheat stalks framed the denomination, symbolizing growth and prosperity. That design remained until 1958, the final year of the wheat reverse, making 1958 a historic closing chapter of an era. Now focus on the year 1958. It was a time of transition. America was deep in the Cold War. The space race was beginning to ignite. Television was transforming culture. And quietly, inside U.S. Mint facilities, the final wheat pennies were being struck before the design changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. The 1958 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny from the Denver Mint represents the end of a nearly 50-year chapter in American coinage. It is the last D. Mint wheat cent ever made. On the surface, the 1958 D. penny may seem common. Millions were struck and released into circulation. Most were spent in grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, or saved in jars without a second thought. Many became dark brown from years of handling. Some were scratched, bent, or damaged. These everyday circulated examples usually carry only modest value. But coin collecting is not about ordinary examples. It is about the extraordinary survivors hidden among them. Condition is everything in numismatics. Copper is a reactive metal. When freshly struck a 1958, the penny glowed with bright red luster. Over time, exposure to air and handling turns that red into chocolate brown. Collectors categorize copper coins by color: red, red-brown, and brown. The rarest and most valuable are those that still retain original, blazing red surfaces decades after being struck. These coins are difficult to find because most entered circulation immediately and lost their brilliance quickly. A 1958 D. penny in heavily worn, dirty condition may only be worth face value or slightly more. But 1958 D. preserved in pristine mint state condition with full red color and sharp details can command significantly higher prices in the collector market. The difference between a common coin and a premium coin is not the date alone. It is preservation. Microscopic details in Lincoln's hair, the sharpness of the wheat stalk lines, and the absence of surface marks determine grade and, ultimately, value. Yet when collectors speak about 1958 pennies bringing astonishing prices, they are usually referring to something even more dramatic: a rare error. In 1958, an extremely rare double-die variety was discovered on some Philadelphia issues. While your focus is a 1958 D. mint mark, understanding this context is important because it shows how small minting variations can transform an ordinary cent into a legend. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles, creating visible doubling in the lettering and date. True double dies are rare and highly sought after. Although confirmed major double dies are associated with Philadelphia rather than Denver in 1958, the lesson remains powerful. Errors change everything. If a 1958 D. penny were discovered with dramatic, authenticated minting error in high condition, its value could rise dramatically. Collectors pay for rarity plus demand. The market rewards the unusual. Now, let us address the dream of millions. Stories often circulate claiming that certain pennies can make someone a billionaire overnight. The truth requires balance. An ordinary 1958 D. wheat penny in worn condition will not sell for millions. However, a unique error coin, authenticated and graded at the highest level, can reach astonishing prices because collectors compete fiercely for one-of-a-kind pieces. In numismatic history, Coins that combine extreme rarity, historic importance, and exceptional condition have achieved record-breaking results at auction. It is also crucial to speak about dirty coins. Many people assume that a dark or stained penny is ruined. In reality, natural toning is normal and often desirable. Cleaning a coin is one of the biggest mistakes a person can make. Scrubbing or polishing removes the original mint surface, permanently reducing value. Collectors prefer originality over artificial shine. A naturally aged 1958 D penny with untouched surfaces is more respected than a bright but clean coin. The 1958 D wheat penny carries emotional significance because it marks the end of the wheat reverse design that began in 1909. It closes a chapter that survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and massive technological change. From horse-drawn carriages to the dawn of the space age, the wheat penny witnessed transformation. Holding in 1958, D cent is holding the final echo of that long design era. Across 5,000 years of coinage history, certain patterns repeat. Most coins remain ordinary. A few become treasures. Rarity can come from low survival numbers, mint errors, or extraordinary condition. The marketplace does not reward myths. It rewards verifiable uniqueness. Knowledge separates hope from reality. If you find a 1958 D Lincoln Wheat Penny today, examine it carefully. Look at the mint mark below the date. Study the lettering for unusual doubling. Inspect the surfaces under magnification. Notice the color. Is it full red or deep brown? Protect it from further damage. Store it in a safe, dry holder. If something appears truly unusual, professional grading and authentication are essential before making claims about high value. The power of coins is not just in their potential price, but in their story. A small copper disc struck in Denver in 1958 may have traveled across states, rested in drawers for decades, or been saved unknowingly by a grandparent. It may have purchased candy for a child who is now elderly. That continuity is extraordinary. The dream of overnight fortune captures attention, but the deeper fortune is understanding history, preservation, and the art of identifying true rarity. The 1958 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is a historic final chapter piece. In ordinary form, it is a modest collectible. In exceptional condition or with a verified rare error, it can command strong premiums. But its true magic lies in what it represents. The closing of a design that defined American small change for nearly half a century. The words 1 cent, symbolizing prosperity and growth. That wheat design would continue until 1958, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Now step into the year 1954. America was in the heart of the post-World War II era. Industry was booming. Families were building new lives. The Cold War was rising quietly in the background. And inside the Denver Mint facility, thousands upon thousands of 1954 D Lincoln Wheat Pennies were being struck and released into circulation. The small D mint mark beneath the date tells you this coin was produced in Denver, Colorado. At the time, no one imagined that decades later collectors would carefully examine these same pennies under magnification, searching for hidden value. The truth about the 1954 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is powerful and important. Large numbers were minted, which means most surviving examples are common in circulated condition. A worn, dark brown 1954 D penny that has passed through countless hands usually carries modest collector value. It may be worth only a small premium over face value. This is reality. But numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is not just about mintage numbers. It is about condition, preservation, rarity, and unique characteristics. Copper is a living metal. When first struck in 1954, these pennies glowed with a brilliant red luster. Over time, exposure to oxygen and handling slowly change at red to reddish-brown and eventually deep brown. Collectors classify copper coins by color because original red surfaces are rare decades later. A 1954 D penny that still shines with full red brilliance in uncirculated condition is far more desirable than one that is dark and heavily worn. Condition is king. A heavily circulated coin with scratches, dull surfaces, and flattened details will never command high premiums. But a mint state 1954 D penny, sharply struck with strong wheat lines and crisp lettering, can bring significantly higher prices. The difference between an ordinary penny and a valuable one often lies in microscopic details invisible to the naked eye. Lincoln's hair strands, the sharpness of the wheat kernels, and the absence of contact marks all influence grading. Now let us talk about errors and varieties, because this is where excitement begins. Throughout coin history, minting mistakes have created legends. Double dies, off-center strikes, repunch mint marks, and die cracks can transform common coins into collector treasures. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny has minor varieties and repunched mint mark examples that specialists look for carefully. While these are not typically million-dollar coins, certain high-grade error examples can bring impressive premiums when authenticated. But we must speak honestly about the dream of unimaginable millions. Stories often circulate claiming that certain wheat pennies can make someone a billionaire overnight. In reality, ordinary 1954 wheat pennies do not sell for millions of dollars. The marketplace rewards extreme rarity and verified uniqueness. The legendary multi-million-dollar pennies people hear about usually involve ultra-rare transitional errors, such as coins struck on the wrong metal during critical mint changes. The 1954 does not belong to that category under normal circumstances. However, do not let that discourage you. There is still value in knowledge. A 1954 penny preserved in top certified mint state grades with full red color can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on quality and demand. That is a dramatic difference compared to 1 cent. And if a truly unique, previously undiscovered major error were ever confirmed on a 1954 coin, its value could rise sharply because collectors compete intensely for one-of-a-kind pieces. Now, consider the topic of dirty coins. Many people see a dark, tarnished penny and assume it is ruined. In truth, natural toning is part of a coin's life story. Cleaning a coin is one of the biggest mistakes a person can make. Polishing, scrubbing, or dipping a penny removes its original mint surface permanently. Collectors value originality above artificial shine. A naturally aged 1954 penny with untouched surfaces is far more respected than a bright but clean coin that has lost its authenticity. The emotional power of the 1954 wheat penny lies in its place in history. It was struck during a decade of transformation. It circulated during the early television era, the rise of suburban America, and the first rumblings of the space race. It was spent in diners, grocery stores, and movie theaters. It may have been saved in a jar by a child who is now a grandparent. That continuity is part of its charm. Across 5,000 years of coin history, one truth remains constant. Most coins remain ordinary, but few become extraordinary because of condition, rarity, or mistake. The key is education. Blind hope creates myths. Careful study creates opportunity. If you discover a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny today, examine it carefully. Look closely at the mint mark. Check for unusual doubling in the date or lettering. Inspect the surfaces for originality. Protect it properly. And if you believe it has something special, seek professional authentication before making bold claims. Coins do not create billionaires overnight by magic. They create serious collectors and informed investors through patience and knowledge. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny is not a guaranteed fortune in every case, but in exceptional preserved condition, it can be a valuable and desirable piece of American numismatic history. From the earliest ancient coins struck thousands of years ago to the copper cents of the 1950s, coins have proven they are more than metal. They are storytellers. They are survivors. They connect us to generations before us. And sometimes, hidden quietly in a drawer or coin jar, a small round piece of copper waits patiently for someone who understands its true significance. Now travel to the year 1957. America was living in a time of confidence and change. The economy was strong. The suburbs were expanding. The space race was just beginning. Inside the Denver Mint, millions of 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck and sent into circulation. The small D mint mark under the date tells you this coin was made in Denver, Colorado. At the time, it was just another cent, another everyday coin meant to pass quickly from one hand to another. Most 1957 pennies did exactly that. They circulated heavily. They bought candy, newspapers, bus rides, and groceries. They were stored in jars and piggy banks. Over time, the bright red copper turned brown from handling and exposure to air. Many became scratched, worn, and dull. These common circulated examples are usually worth only a small premium over face value today. That is the honest truth. But here is where the story becomes powerful. In coin collecting, value is not created by age alone. It is created by rarity, condition, and demand. The 1957 D penny was struck in large numbers, but finding one in truly pristine, untouched condition decades later is far more difficult. Copper is a sensitive metal. When freshly struck, it shines with a blazing red luster. Over years, that red slowly changes to red-brown and then deep brown. Collectors classify copper coins by color because original full red examples are much scarcer. A 1957 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny preserved in mint state condition, with sharp wheat lines, crisp lettering, and bright red surfaces, can command significantly higher prices than a worn example. The difference between 1 cent and a premium collectible can be the absence of tiny scratches or the brilliance of original luster. In the highest certified grades, some 1957, D red pennies have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on market demand. That is a dramatic jump from face value. Now we must address the legend that truly excites collectors, the famous 1957 double die variety. While the most well-known double die from 1957 comes from Philadelphia without a mint mark, the story teaches an important lesson. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles, causing visible doubling in the lettering or date. These varieties can transform an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after rarity. Although major double dies are not typically associated with the Denver Mint for 1957, minor varieties and die anomalies do exist, and specialists carefully examine coins for these subtle differences. The dream of a penny worth millions captures imagination. Stories spread quickly online claiming that certain wheat pennies can make someone a billionaire overnight. The reality requires balance and honesty. An ordinary 1957 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny in circulated condition will not sell for millions of dollars. The market does not reward common coins with extreme prices. However, extremely rare errors in top condition, especially if unique or nearly unique, can reach astonishing auction results. That is how legends are born in numismatic history. Let's talk about dirty coins, because many people misunderstand this. A dark or toned penny is not automatically worthless. In fact, natural toning is part of a coin's protective layer. Cleaning a coin is one of the most damaging mistakes a person can make. Polishing or scrubbing removes the original mint surface permanently and reduces collector value. Experienced collectors prefer originality over artificial shine. A naturally aged 1957 D penny with untouched surfaces is more respected than a bright but clean coin. The emotional power of the 1957 D wheat penny lies in its place near the end of the wheat design era. It was struck just 1 year before the reverse design changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial. That means in 1957, D is part of the final chapter of a design that lasted almost 50 years. It connects the early 20th century to the modern age. It links generations. It may have been held by someone who witnessed historic events, technological revolutions, and cultural transformation. Across 5,000 years of coin history, the same pattern repeats. Most coins remain ordinary. A few become extraordinary because of preservation, rarity, or minting error. Knowledge is the key. Without knowledge, a rare coin might be spent unknowingly. With knowledge, an ordinary-looking cent might be recognized as a high-grade treasure. If you find a 1957 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny today, do not rush to conclusions. Examine the mint mark carefully. Study the date under magnification. Look at Lincoln's hair detail and the sharpness of the wheat stalks. Notice the color. Is it full red, red-brown, or brown? Never clean it. Store it properly in a dry holder. If you believe it is exceptional, professional grading and authentication are essential before making bold claims. Coins do not create billionaires by magic, but they can reward patient study and sharp observation. A top condition 1957 D wheat penny can be worth far more than 1 cent, and in the rare case an unusual verified mint error in outstanding condition, the value can surprise even experienced collectors. From ancient metal discs struck thousands of years ago to the copper pennies of 1957 America, coins continue to prove their power. They are not just currency. They are history in your hand. And sometimes hidden quietly in a jar or drawer, a small round copper coin waits for someone who understands its true story and its true potential.